Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 20 podcast. I know we've not been on for a while, actually, and it's good to be back to cover this past weekend's games before the international break. Joining us as usual is my man on the other side, Doug. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's good to be back, and a very, very interesting weekend of football.
Absolutely. So we got, and I see the guest in the middle. He's been a regular for doing his recording of the match reviews for Sunderland, but he's finally joined us on the podcast. Hopefully for the next 40 minutes or so. Say hello to Michael. Michael, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you both? Well, obviously, you both can imagine how well I'm doing at the minute, but how are you both doing?
I mean, apart from my two teams being absolute rubbish at the weekend, then yeah, apart from that, I'm doing all right.
Been there before, so I understand your pain.
Yeah, well, even though Leeds with Hearts getting a bit of nearly a late winner towards the end of the game, which we did get, and especially with Celtic dropping points, but if I wish Leeds could score, bloody score at the moment. But
hey, you've extended the points gap to the bottom three by an extra point.
By a point. Yeah, it's that sort. Well, we'll talk more about Leeds shortly as well too.
Fair enough.
But we're also going to cover on the Carabao Cup Final as well between Arsenal and Man City. We will discuss that as well too. But you see it on the down in the ticker box, and that's why we've got Michael here on today because the Black Cats are the kings of the Tyne-Wear Derby. So let's get on to that. Well, Newcastle won, Sunderland 2. Bobby scored and the direct 90th-minute winner to do the double over Newcastle again, which is back to back, which is quite amazing as well, too, is how that record is good. But we'll talk about Sunderland first. Michael, what a win. And you didn't perform the best in the first half, but the second half, it looked like you were more the better attacking threat than Newcastle. Newcastle were kind of sitting deep for most of that game, the second half.
Oh, you talking just saying the scoreline and seeing Sunderland do the double over Newcastle. I never get tired of hearing that. Well, first, I've said this across my own channel. I've said it, and well, twice actually. I did my match review and I did a live stream last night after the game. And actually, I felt like Newcastle were the better side by a mile, in my opinion, in the first half. And a few people have thought I was being negative on that. I don't really think I was, but I feel like, obviously Alanga had two good chances that he probably arguably should be doing better with. The header when at 0-0 when Hume ball watches, in my opinion. And then the second one, which Doug might have noticed this, but obviously Liverpool target in January Getroida, I was fuming at him because he was jogging back and not keeping up with Alanga, and thankfully hits the side netting. And obviously the goal was just, I'd only combusted when we conceded that, because I was thinking, considering Newcastle's strength is generally pressing, please don't do that in the Tyne-Wear Derby. And I love Luke O'Knight a bit, but yeah, I mean, it's clear to see that. And I thought he got a lot better as the game went on, actually. But yeah, it just goes to prove there's a limit to to Luke O'Knight's ceiling. But fair play to the lads for responding. The good thing for us is that we got into halftime 1-0, because I did feel if we had to be losing at any point, but if you're losing by a goal with like 30 minutes left to go, whatever it was roughly around then we scored the equaliser, actually, on the hour mark. But I felt like it was going to be a case of Newcastle having to feel the effects of playing Barcelona on Wednesday night. And as such, that gave Sunderland an opportunity to really come out and get something from the game. I mean, I would have been happy with 1-1. I mean, obviously, I was ecstatic at the end, of course, as you can imagine, when Robbie's winner hit the back of the net pretty much in the 90th minute. But that's why I was quite happy Newcastle were playing Barcelona, because they had to play them over Barca twice, then go to Chelsea and have us over 10 days. So I think the schedule probably to some degree did catch up with Newcastle. And I'm going to be, if I'm trying to be somewhat objective here, I think Newcastle missing Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali were a huge factor. Or at least a big enough factor that it's noticeable when you're watching the two teams. And I feel Newcastle, there was a reason I didn't want Tonali playing, and I was quite happy when I heard he was missing the game, because I felt like, yeah, we've got a chance here as long as our midfield wins the battle. But in fairness to Sunderland, we had injuries. We had Nordi Mukiele, Reynaldo, Enzo Lefebvre, Robin Roofs, Dan Ballard, all missing. We were all missing from the game. I mean, obviously, Lefebvre came on with 10 minutes to go and assisted the winner. I think Reynaldo and Mukiele might have come on in stoppage. Reynaldo came on in stoppage time. So we effectively without all of them. So I think you've got to be fair both ways. But I felt as Doug said, I think in the second half, I think we dominated the midfield. We didn't have much of the possession, and I thought we were still doing counter-attacking. But you can control a game without having much of the ball, and I felt like that's what Sunderland did quite comfortably in the second half on reflection. And I think it was crucial that the midfield just overran Nick Voltemada, Joe Linton, and what's his name, Jacob Ramsey. And on Newcastle, I still don't know how for the life of me Nick Voltemada is playing in the midfield when he was signed as a forward. That just doesn't make any sense to me. And I like Eddie Howe. I think he's generally done a really good job at Newcastle. But that's one of the many things that he kept on insisting with. I mean, and I'm glad he did yesterday, because I think he would have been quite a threat up front, actually. But I just couldn't understand that. But I felt like, although technically Joe Linton, Voltemada, and Ramsey are good players, in my opinion, it's not a very balanced midfield. It lacks the tenacity, no pun intended with Tonali, but like, he's able to dictate games from deep. Bruno is often a wind-up merchant, but has quality in and out of possession. And I feel like without them two, I think you could tell the midfield they just didn't know what was coming to them in the second half in particular. And I thought Xhaka showed his quality in the second half. I thought Siddiqui was much better. Diarra got a lot of stick for our defeat against Brighton, but I think personally he will become a very good player next season. And I think he was very good second half. I thought Geertruida, actually, for all I slated him in the first half, I thought was outstanding second half. I think for the whole team generally was very good second half. And what I loved about it was that Brobby, despite even not just his goal, but the fact he's bullying Botman and Byrne, and then later Malik Chow as well. Like, that's no mean feat. They're pretty good defenders. So as much as it pains me to give Newcastle credit, but they are good defenders. So, you've got to be reasonable about it. Obviously, our goal was a bit... our first goal was obviously a second phase or so from a set piece when I think it was Hume has a shot that's going towards the back post, bounces off Diarra's chest, then bounces off one of Newcastle's players and falls to Talby. I don't know who's marking him, but he's got a free effort on goal 6 yards out. And you guys know probably I went, get it! Wait, hang on. A VAR going to disallow this and I'm going to make it look like a tit here. But thankfully not the case. Obviously Newcastle took the lead with, we thought we took the lead with Chow scoring, but it's the correct decision. He's offside. Like, I don't think there's any debates about that. No. Maybe there was an incident in the first half. We might have got fortunate with Luke O'Nien not giving away a penalty, but if you watch, Dan Byrne has hold of his shirt first in the first half, so I think that's why it wasn't given, which is fair enough. But then obviously at the end, two of my mates came over, and they're both obviously big Sunderland fans, but they're not as animated as I am. And I grabbed one of them when we scored the winner, and he usually doesn't like stuff like that, but he didn't really care because that's obviously the magnitude of what this game means. And obviously until yesterday, I was still fuming about Sunderland's FA Cup defeat to Port Vale, but I think yesterday's kind of made me forget about it now. Like that was the best way to. And in general, that's the first time this season I've really been angry at Sunderland after a game. And in general, the Premier League, we've been exceptional for a promoted team. So I think to go to Newcastle, of course, do the Derby double over them, to go win in the last minute at their place. Yeah, that was the best way to sort of really make it put right the wrongs, I should say. Not necessarily make up to the fans, because generally they haven't had to do that this season, but to right the wrongs of the Port Vale defeat. You might be getting a cat coming along and shot in a minute. I don't know, because he's right next to us. But yeah, white cat, all sorts. All right, Bailey, you enjoying Sunderland's win? But yeah, like, I think what's good as well is because there was a couple of our fans going, 40 points might not be enough, even though I think that was a load of tosh. I think we were going to be safe anyway. But now, surely that just puts to bed anything about remote fear of relegation. And then I was listening to one of the local journalists of the Northern Echo called Scott Wilson, who covers Newcastle, Sunderland, and Middlesbrough effectively. And he was saying something about Europe's got to be considered a possibility. I'm like, oh God, are we starting with this conversation again? Yeah, for me, we don't score enough to get into the European conversation. And even if we finish where we are now, 11th or 12th even if as low as 14th, I'm still content with that this season. We've got to learn to walk before we can run. But yeah, it's, of course, anytime, as I'm sure Doug would do the same if Liverpool won away at Everton in that manner, or Man United, or Karl with Leeds at Man United, whichever way, you're going to enjoy that and milk it if you win your way your rivals in the last minute. And I guess the best thing to say is, easy 6 points, Newcastle fans said. Well, they got that right. They just didn't say, they said to the wrong team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well.
Sorry, just to waffle on there and not give you any.
No. I give you 10 minutes of your time with that. That's no problem at all. And I wanted to ask Doug this question. Doug, let's talk about Newcastle. This has been it's been a rough week, especially the dismantling they had at Barcelona, and then losing back to back in Tyne-Wear Derby. And I put that in the ticker. Is this the end for Eddie Howe this season? Because it looks like I can't see him being there beyond this summer. I just don't see it at this moment. If Newcastle miss
it was
out.
a very damaging week for Eddie Howe, I think.
I honestly think when you look at what happened over the course of the week there, there's games that you can lose. There's games that you can lose. There's games that you can win. There's games that you can draw. But I think the fact that they lost 7-2 in Barcelona is it's a battering. It's a battering. Let's be honest with that one. Obviously, it started well with beating Chelsea away from home. That was a very good result. I didn't see them beating Chelsea. But then 7-2 to Barcelona is a really, really bad result. And then yesterday, I thought they played well first half. But more the game went on, the only time I could really think of them having a real opportunity, I think, was when Botman hit the post from a cross from I think it was from Lewis Hall. Barring that, they created very, very little. Now, I don't get this Voltemada midfield. Voltemada was brought to be a striker. You're going to probably see him being probably the starting striker for Germany. Maybe Dennis Undav, obviously ex-Brighton, of course. We all know about him. Obviously at the World Cup. So there is that as well. But I think Michael's spot on when you miss Bruno Guimaraes, when you miss Tonali, two really, really good midfielders in there.
Do you worry for them to leave if they do leave this summer? Because that's been another discussion point.
It's a possibility, by the way, if Newcastle don't get any European qualification, that they could go.
It's looking like it, actually. But I just want to say I thought Sunderland yesterday were very good in that second half. I think Brian Brobby was absolutely outstanding, deserved his goal in the end for his hard work, as he absolutely bullied Dan Burn. He absolutely bullied Sven Botman, and as we were obviously saying, Malik Chow, him as well. I agree with the disallowed goal. I think he's quite clearly in the line of Elberg. He certainly is in the line of Elberg, so I think that was a very, very good decision. I've got to say something. Anthony Taylor yesterday, I know he gets his critics. I thought he refereed the game really, really well yesterday.
I agree.
And especially when we obviously, I hate obviously discuss this, but the racist incident, it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting. Look, Gertruida, I've been a big, big fan of his since obviously he went to Leipzig. Obviously, he's at Sunderland now as well. We did obviously try to get him in January. I love the fact that Anthony Taylor literally came over and basically spoke to both benches first, and then obviously brought I think as a stadium director or something like that.
Yeah.
Knowing that there was obviously, there was obviously something happening there. But 2026, we're getting racist. Honestly, it's absolutely disgusting. And I'm pretty sure Newcastle fans or one of their players was racially abused very, very recently. I can't remember who exactly it was, but the fact that, in a very, very big game like that, Gertruida, to be fair, I would have been screaming at him if obviously Alanga had scored that, because he was walking back. But I've got to say, for what happened yesterday with the racist incident, and I thought Anthony Taylor handled himself really, really well. I think he done the game really, really well. I know he gets his critics, but I thought he did really, really well. But I thought overall, Newcastle didn't do enough to win the game. And I think that second half performance just showed Sunderland really wanted it more. It's basically like the first game, really. Like Newcastle really didn't turn up for that game. But first half they did. Second half, Sunderland were absolutely all over them. And
I'll just quickly jump on that if we can throw some. But I think, to be fair to Newcastle fans, I will say that the sensible, the ones that, we got two dogs there for a moment. To be fair, the sensible Newcastle fans, I think, rightly condoned any racist abuse towards Gertruida. And I think that Doug's right. It's 2026. It's not just, unfortunately, I don't think it's just a football issue. I think it's a society problem. I think we've just got that all over. Like, so, guys, come on. Like, it's 2026 at this point. What is racism going to achieve at this point? Like, this is, and unfortunately, obviously one of our players, Romain Mundell, after we played Fulham, suffered racist abuse. Although it turns out apparently it was from an online boss rather than one of our own fans. But either way, it's not the point. You shouldn't be putting up with it. And I bet it wouldn't surprise me if those who committed this offence were basically doing it from behind us, even if it wasn't at the game, if it was behind a screen and a conveniently anonymous account to avoid accountability. But I agree with them. I agree with Doug on all fronts. And actually, quickly on Anthony Taylor, because I'm someone who does slate referees quite a lot because I think they get a free pass in terms of getting criticism. But I have to say, I did think Anthony Taylor, a couple of times he bought too many little free kicks for my liking, but in general got the big decisions right. And I think, so I've got to be fair here. Yeah, I thought he did have a very good game. And compared to some of the refs we've had recently, particularly one by an Australian guy called Jared Gillett, I thought that Anthony Taylor, I think, has actually been pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely so.
I was gonna add, I do think it is the end for Eddie Howe in Newcastle. I think he's gone in the summer.
I think he needs a break. He needs a break after last, because I think last year he was in hospital. He was hospitalized last year around this time, and I think he needs that long break.
Pneumonia, was it?
Pneumonia, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the fact now, obviously, Thomas Tuchel's obviously staying on as England manager, I think is kind of now sort of given Howe a bit of a thought. Maybe I need a break from this. Because quite clearly, Newcastle fans have definitely turned after yesterday. They're not happy, and I think the fact as well, they're clearly
they've been slowly turning on him for quite a bit, but this is the breaking point now.
I think these last two games they've definitely turned on him. Yeah. Definitely,
I agree. I think with Eddie Howe, I think if the only way I see him staying beyond this season in the summer, and even then, I don't think they probably would. I think the rest of their season they have to get some form of European qualification now, whether it's Europa League, Conference League, or whichever it is. But I think there's every chance that he does go in the summer. I think they have to remember where they were when he came in. And obviously, look, I know they've got lofty ambitions. I think personally they need to rein their expectations in just a little bit, because they're not going to, if they're expecting to compete with the likes of Arsenal, City, and even last season Liverpool, I think they need to sort of remember that those clubs are always going to be a bigger attraction than them
because of the current financial.
Exactly. Yeah, of course. And in terms of size of club, when you're comparing like Arsenal, Man U, well, less so Man U, but like Liverpool as well. Like these are gargantuan size clubs in the world football pyramid. Like Newcastle just do, and it's the same with us. We look like, not to pick on this team too much, but we look like Accrington compared to Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man United. That's just a fact. So I think Newcastle do need to remember that, but. He obviously won them their first major trophy for 70 years, annoyingly. But he did win them their first major trophy. And I'm not one of those that subscribes to the Carabao Cups and Mickey Mouse Trophy. I'd love to see Sunderland win that. But at the end of the day, I think the fans can appreciate what Eddie Howe's done, but it probably now is right to sort of look in a different direction, because there seems to be tactical mistakes this season where he's shown his limited capability tactically. And and I think obviously, the amount of points Newcastle have dropped from winning positions is criminal, really. I think one of my mates said to me it was something like 22 points they've dropped from winning positions, which is shocking. Like, really, especially if you're wanting to be a club that is competing on all fronts in for European football, wherever. Like, you just can't be, you cannot be dropping anywhere near that many points. Obviously, teams drop points all the time, but that's far too many in the occurrence in one season. So. Yeah, I think I'm with Doug. I think this week is particular. You lose at Barcelona, you can accept that, but I think the way they got beat was a joke. And then obviously losing at home, even if yesterday had been a draw, it wouldn't have been a good result really for Newcastle. But at the very least, it would have been avoiding a defeat. But yeah, to lose in last minute, I think it's been a very damning week for Eddie Howe, and I think he'll be gone in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Newcastle are going to be in a bit of a long summer, especially AB. It's going to be a huge transition if
Bruno and Tonali go, yes, I think then I'll be quite worried about next season in some senses for them, because if they both go, then that's huge. That's a huge hole in mid. That's two huge holes in their midfield.
Yeah, absolutely as well.
And no, Nick Voltemada is not the answer to that, Eddie.
No, Absolutely not in that midfield area. Let's move on to the game at the Amex Stadium. Brighton beat Liverpool 2-1. Danny Welbeck scored two brace in that game. Doug, let's talk about Liverpool first before we talk about Brighton.
Do we have to?
You know you don't have a choice in this one.
You can join me in the lost to Brighton recently club.
We're a shambles, mate. We're an absolute shambles. Last week against Galatasaray, I wasn't really getting too carried away because obviously it's Champions League. But what happened against Brighton has been kind of the story of our season. We play really well in the Champions League, but then become like really, really poor in the Premier League. Yeah, we were a joke. We were a joke. First goal, don't know what on earth Marmadashvili is doing trying to pass to Kanate. Basically playing a long ball out to Kanate, goes out for a throw-in, and then obviously, you know, Brighton do score from that. Header back across goal, and obviously Welbeck heads it in. Poor defending from our, you know, point of view, but very good header from Danny Welbeck. We get let's be honest, we get a gift back in the game because Kirkes scores one of those ones where basically Lewis Dunk doesn't know where Kirkes is, tries to head back to Verbruggen, and it reminded me of sort of Andrea Dossena against Manchester United all those years ago, where literally he did lob Edwin van der Sar. It was a bit like that. But I've got to say, Kirkes has been one of those players I think has really, really improved. I do think he will become he will get better for sure. So half time going in at 1-1, I was happy. But one thing that really, really annoyed me: why on earth are we playing the ball to Georgi Marmadashvili's right foot? I'll say that again. Right foot, when he's clearly left-footed. The amount of times we played the ball to his right foot and it went out of play. Went out of play so many times, and it really, really, really annoyed me. Let's put it that way. The winning goal, like I've seen people say that this potentially is offside. I know that obviously the 5 centimeter rule that it was very, 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 very tight. But actually, I think there's a couple of people that actually put online that actually, if you look at it, his foot is ahead of the ball. So I think on another day we probably get away with that. But not to say Brighton didn't deserve to win, because they thoroughly did deserve to win. I mean, James Milner, 40 years of age, is bossing Liverpool midfield of Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, and Dominic Szoboszlai.
How a 40-year-old player bossed those three? That is just, yeah.
Especially at 40 years old, yeah.
40 years old, and he just does not look out of place at all. This is it for me for Arne Slot. I've been very, very I've been kind of, sort of defending him. I've been backing him. That was it for me at the weekend. Because if you look at our next games coming up in April, May, I can do this off by heart. So, Manchester City in the FA Cup, PSG away, Fulham at home, PSG at home, Crystal Palace at home, Man United away, Chelsea at home. There is no way he is surviving this. I can say that now. If he survives the end of the season, then fair play. Fair play. But not sure how many points we get out of those games. I'm not sure how many we win as well. His tactics are all over the place. And as well, Hugo Ekiteke goes down with a dead leg. He brings on Curtis Jones. When you have Federico Chiesa and you have Rio Ingamoa on the bench, you plunk for Curtis Jones, who again was shocking. He was shocking when he came on last week. Honestly, I'm at a loss for words right now with what is going on. I mean, there's been talk, obviously, Richard Hughes is potentially going to Al Hilal. Michael Edwards, apparently the sort of the multi-club ownership that he came in for FSG. That's not happening now. Will he stay? Behind? I'm not so sure. And then you've also got the manager, who is obviously going, I think, back home to obviously see his family. He was at Feyenoord Ajax last night. He has been on with the Ajax job as well. And Mr. Jurgen Klopp is actually coming back for the Legends game this weekend, which I'm going to.
So what does that say completely there? What does that say completely? Because you saying that you might have to get him back, even if you know he's retired, you say he will come out of retirement if it's Liverpool?
I don't think he would come back to manage us, but director of football, absolutely. I think he would come back.
Especially we got to deal with Red Bull to get him off, to get him the release clause. That's going to be the huge questionable.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think if you were given the chance of basically Red Bull or Liverpool Football Club, then it'd be Liverpool. Look, the thing is, Jurgen Klopp came in. Everyone took to him. I'm not so sure Arne Slot has been the same. I don't think he's kind of got the same sort of passion with the fans, and I think the fans are slowly turning. That's 4 wins in 13 games in our last 13 as well. It's not been great. The form I would say since January has been very, very poor, very, very inconsistent. And look, who knows what will happen? But fair play to Brighton, absolutely deserved win. I find it astonishing that people are actually questioning Fabian Hürzeler. I am absolutely amazed at that, because I think that's 4 wins out of their last 5 games in all comps as well. Very good turnaround, I've got to say, for Fabian Hürzeler. But for us, that was a shocker. That was a shocker of the weekend.
Absolutely shocking. Listen, Michael for Brighton, Danny Welbeck scoring again in the game. He's now double his figure now. Should he have been recalled into the England squad ahead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, for example?
It's a good question, because I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin's recall into the England squad's been deserved over the course of the season. I've been very impressed with him when he's played for Leeds. And obviously he finished off an amazing team goal that you guys scored against us at the Stadium of Light. But yeah, with Welbeck, I rate Welbeck. I still think how old is he now? 34?
35. Yeah.
The fact he's still playing at Premier League football at his age suggests to me that he looks after himself incredibly well. He goes through a good regime, a good system where he's able to just keep his body in check and still play at Premier League level. There's an argument for it. And certainly, I think if you're looking for England's strike force, apart from Harry Kane, obviously, who's probably going to be the main man in the World Cup this summer, there's not really anyone else for me who stands out as someone who could be second or third choice, apart from maybe Calvert-Lewin and Welbeck at the moment. Obviously, you've got Ollie Watkins in there, but he's not exactly had the best season for Aston Villa. So it remains to be seen. But I agree quickly on Doug for Brighton. That's a sensational win for them, because it could put, if I'm going to be talking if the questions are being asked about us being in European conversation, which I don't think we will be, but Brighton are 1 point ahead of us. They've got to be surely looked into this, because they're only 2 points off 7th. And if you want to even go further than that, they are 5 points off 6th. So, so it says something about how Hürzeler's obviously had a bit of question marks over him. I think it's because Brighton probably are at the point where they'd like to start more regularly challenging the top 7, top 8, but got to realise how difficult that is to do week in, week out in the Premier League. That's the level I want us to get to in the longer run. But that's hard. That is hard. The Premier League is the hardest league in the world, I would argue. So I think with Brighton, hello mate. I think when it comes to Guinness is going to join in the fun apparently. But for Brighton, what was that? 4 wins in their last 5. It just goes to show how a good run of form can catapult you up the Premier League. But I think there's a conversation for Brighton certainly to try and challenge for European places, and the form that they're in now, what's to stop them from doing it? But to answer your question on Welbeck, I'd recall him as so if you're talking about this summer, then I don't think there's any complaints with having him as part of the squad. He'd be a pretty good impact player off the bench, I think. But Calvert-Lewin deserves his call-up, in my opinion, at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely as well. They both deserve the call completely as well. We'll take a little bit of a break from the Premier League. Let's discuss about the Carabao Cup final where Arsenal and Man City played yesterday. Man City winning 2-0 against Arsenal, but won the Nico O'Reilly with the brace as well to win City their 9th EFL Cup title as well. And I have to say, let's start off with Arsenal, guys. Did Arteta get pretty much certain tactics wrong completely?
Yes. I thought they were a joke yesterday. You're parking the bus in a cup final. Absolute shocking. Kepa and Wembley don't go together.
Nope.
I mean,
Savage.
That's what three times in a row now.
Yeah.
The Sarri incident, the missed penalty that gave Liverpool the Carabao Cup, and then yesterday, that's an absolute howler. That is an absolute howler. What is he thinking? Basically, the ball comes over him. All you have to do is catch it.
It's simple. It's simple. It's like,
it's a simple catch. Simple catch. Lets it in. And then, obviously, there's O'Reilly, who I've got to say is an absolute shoo-in for a young player of the season.
Yeah,
he has to be.
Come on, leaps and bounds, hasn't he?
He's been outstanding, absolutely outstanding. I thought Arsenal started the game well. Yeah, probably the first 20 minutes, I think they were all over Manchester City. Obviously, that triple save from James Trafford is sensational. Havertz probably should score, but then the two from Saka are brilliant. I thought Semenyo had Hinsapi on toast. I've got to say, I think you've got to say that. One thing I will say though, I think Bukayo Saka, since he's got that £300,000 a week contract, he has been absolutely shocking.
He's been dog shit. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I have seen many people say this week. Oh, you can't criticize Saka. Oh, you can't criticize Saka. Yeah, you can.
You can.
He's
not immune from this.
No, he's certainly not immune from it. And I just think I love the fact that basically there was basically a picture of Arteta with his hands in his head, and it did look like the FIFA exit club or
is this the forfeit match thing? The forfeit
delete
match
club,
yeah,
delete club on FIFA. I thought that was so funny. But Man City thoroughly, Manchester City thoroughly deserved to win yesterday. And again, this to me, the title is not over. This is far from over.
It proved that after yesterday, the title is not over.
Far from over.
Psychologically, it's a huge thing for City because I'm in a group chat with a bunch of people, and then we do Premier League predictions and obviously just as random ones, and we predicted the Carabao Cup final. That was one of the few ones that actually went for Man City to win this game because
I went for Arsenal for some obvious reasons because I thought if Arsenal they need to do it, they have to do it now.
No, I totally get that. My reasoning for City winning this was because I agree with Doug that I think the title race isn't over because if Man City win their game in hand against Palace whenever that's getting played, and if they beat Arsenal at the Etihad, which based on yesterday you wouldn't bet against it, although both teams I think will go full strength for that one. But there's still enough players on show to want to win the game, obviously, because it's a cup final. But I feel like the reason I went for City to win is because I felt even then the ball is still in Arsenal's court for the Premier League. And from Man City's point of view, I think this game took on a bigger significance for them because they think, well, from here, it would still take some effort for us to win the Premier League. So I think they're going to go all out for both cup competitions now. So I think they're going to go out for the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. And what I felt yesterday, Man City in the second half in particular, I think you've got to give credit them for. They showed their experience and maturity to win this game. Obviously, O'Reilly, of course, he's obviously a kid and has come through and has scored a double. But I just felt Man City were very assured second half. I don't know what you guys think, but I felt like Arsenal, for me, obviously they won the FA Cup under Arteta 6 years ago. But for me, they showed their naivety in this game about the know-how to get over the line and to win in a major pressurized situation in the final. Yeah. And although this trophy obviously isn't as big as the Prem, it's the first domestic silverware on offer for the season. And I just felt with City, like I said, it took on a bigger significance, saying that, okay, if we're not going to win the Prem, win both cups at least. And then you've got 2 trophies added to the cabinet. And I mean, I think apparently Pep Guardiola was apparently on the verge of going, if they didn't win anything this season, was 2 years without silverware, which is unthinkable for Pep Guardiola and his legacy at Manchester City. So, yes, I think O'Reilly, you got to give a lot of credit. Obviously, yeah, of course, Kepa flaps it for the first one. But I think obviously O'Reilly, you got to give credit for being the right place, right time, being the difference maker. And I think you've got to credit Trafford, like Doug alluded to, the saves he made in the first half. Because I thought Arsenal in the first half, I would say, were the better side, or at least in the first 25, 30 minutes. Just chuck the cat over and you'll probably come back in about 20 seconds. But regardless of that, though, yeah, I think Trafford, I feel for him a little bit because he's an understudy to Gingy Donnarumma. Like he's not going to get
the first. It wasn't the first choice, but then Donnarumma comes and
Well, didn't Trafford sign before Donnarumma as well? Yeah, that's the thing. So, but for this game, I mean, to make you've got to make what way to make an impact for you. So, from Man City's point of view, it was vital, I think, to win this. And even if they don't win, but even then, when we're talking about the Premier League, though, like I think psychologically, it might have said to Arsenal, like Doug said, we're not giving this up without a fight. So. Let's wait and see. When you've got Man City chasing you down, it's going to be a fascinating contest. And I can't wait for the game at the Etihad Stadium when they play each other in a month's time or in 4 weeks' time. That's going to be, watch it be a crap 0-0 now. But but to be fair, for Arsenal's point of view, I think they need to show that level of maturity at the Etihad that I felt they were lacking in the second half yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. They do as well too. Michael, we're going to let you go. Thank you very much for joining us.
I would much rather sit here and talk all the rest of the Prem with you, but unfortunately I have to go. As Doug's finished his graft, I've got to go and start mine shortly. So
exactly.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Always a pleasure to talk about beating Newcastle. And yeah, take care, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Take care.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you, Michael, for joining us as well. So, Doug, let's get back onto the Premier League and let's start off. We're going to start off on Saturday night with what happened with Chelsea, with losing 3-0 at Everton. What a brace from Beto, and then he's getting the third goal. Let's talk about Chelsea. This question needs to be asked about Levy Senior at this particular time. Only 10 wins, 8 defeats, and 2 draws since he joined. That's not a good. That's abysmal at the moment for Chelsea at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with Everton. I thought they were absolutely outstanding in this game, to a T. I mean, Beto's first goal was fantastic. He basically gets ahead of Sanchez and he manages to lob over him. The second goal is an absolute howler from Robert Sanchez. He literally just lets it go through his body, and basically it goes into the back of the net. And then Ndiaye scores a wonderful goal as well. Chelsea again. It's not been a very good week. We're obviously talking about Newcastle's week. It's not been a very good week for Chelsea. I doubt if he's in charge next season, their senior. I'd be very, very amazed. It's almost that kind of thing that Chelsea have obviously got rid of Maresca, and obviously brought in Rosignol from obviously Strasbourg.
Yeah, I believe that Strasbourg and Chelsea fans are joining forces together at the protest as well, and his questions about with the transfer strategy, when you buy young experienced players are not mature enough to try to play teams like, yes, you beat Barcelona 3-0 in the league stage of the Champions League, but it's when you play against like PSG. There's no experience of that older player, to wrap around the shoulder young player and say, "Look, this is what we have to do." There's none of that.
Yeah. No, there's certainly not, and I think many United fans will be happy to see the back of Garnacho because I don't think he's been really pulling up trees since he came to Chelsea. They've spent £2 billion, but what? On what?
Yeah,
that's the thing. Robert Sanchez to me is the equivalent of, you remember when Simon Mignolet was at Liverpool?
Yeah.
Everyone was saying then he wasn't a title-winning goalkeeper. Robert Sanchez was third choice at Brighton, and Chelsea go out and buy Robert Sanchez. Look, obviously, Robert Sanchez was a good goalkeeper at Brighton, but the fact that he was third choice and then Chelsea decided to buy him, I thought was very, very, very strange in the first place. But I think there is question marks about Chelsea. I honestly do. I didn't see that result coming 3-0.
No.
I didn't see them losing 3-0. I thought they would probably lose this game because of obviously the sort of the game against PSG where they were absolutely really blown away. But yeah, this is the thing now. Everton are only 3 points behind Liverpool. And they could easily be above us by the time we next play. So that is incredible when you think of that. But fair play to Everton. 3-0 against Chelsea is a very, very good result. But I do think there is question marks over Liam Rosenior.
Yeah, huge questions as well, especially when you give him a long 8-year contract. What is Chelsea thinking of, and especially who are they going to get in? Because the number question is, I don't know. I think there's something in, if they don't get into you, Chelsea, they're in financial trouble. Especially they have to sell some players because they were fined by the Premier League just last week, even after the illegal payments on the Roman Abramovich, even with Chelsea did comply. But now this will be a dramatic effect as well on them as well too if they don't make the Champions League this season.
Yeah, 100%. It's I think when you look at this week as well, it's not been a very good week for Liverpool. It's not been a very good week for Chelsea. So big question marks I think as well. It doesn't. I mean Chelsea. I think they've got Manchester City coming up very soon in the league. That's not going to be easy at all. Actually, am I right in saying this? Chelsea got both the Manchester clubs coming up.
Yes,
both at Stamford Bridge.
Yep.
Those two games could determine where they finish. I think. I honestly don't think when I look at sort of Chelsea's fixtures, I think Chelsea got the hardest games out of the sort of the top 4, top 5 chasing pack. I would say. I do think that they've got really, really interesting games coming up as well, and it's whether or not Rosenior is obviously still there by those 2 games, but Chelsea are a mess. Let's be honest. That was a really, really bad day at the office for them, and they've had one too many of them this season, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely as well. Yeah, I agree with that one as well. Let's move on to the Friday night's game between Bournemouth and Manchester United. Both teams finished 2-2 apiece, but we had to talk about the controversial about VAR, not giving a decision when Ahmed Diallo was fouled in a penalty, and Man should have second penalty, which led up to the build up to Ryan Christie to get the equaliser. Again, PGML have admitted that that decision should have been a penalty, and it should have been looked at and been overturned to be a penalty. Again, it's like the referees here across England are over relying too much of VAR compared to most of the other European countries. I think it is less lenient on it now because I think when I remember watching the Milan derby, the referee said with the fouls or the stuff, we'll play it on. They were very, and this is what we're still having problems with at the moment, especially on Friday night.
That's an absolute joke. It's a Stonewall penalty, first of all, on Ahmad. He's got the ball. Trafford has nowhere near to get the ball. Yeah, so it's a penalty. But obviously Fernandes probably puts that in the net. There's probably 2-0. It's probably a completely different game as well. And the Harry Maguire one, I think that's absolutely a red card as well. I think Evan Nielsen does really, really well as well. But yeah, it's inconsistencies, isn't it? But I always look back on Stuart Atwell, and he will always be the referee remembered for giving a goal that was never a goal in the Watford Reading game.
Yeah, that
many years ago.
Yeah,
ghost goal. Yeah, that's going way back. I'm trying to remember what year that was.
2008. I think it was 2008 or 2009. That year. It was
long time ago. But look, I think you've got to say it. It was. a very good game of football, I've got to say. I think obviously two sides that are playing really well. Bournemouth have picked up a lot recently. I think that they are now unbeaten. I think in 6 or 7 games now. Man United are still inconsistent, but they're still they're third at the moment. Carrick's obviously doing a very, very good job with them as well. But I mean, they're making a complaint to the PGMOL. Look, in the past, they got away with loads of things. I understand that it's obviously the same duo of Stuart Atwell and Craig Pawson. You obviously, Man United fans don't really like him. Like both
they don't like
them
both. No, they've had issues with those two officials for quite a while.
Yeah, so I understand it from that point of view, but it evens itself out, doesn't it, Carl? It evens itself out at the end of the day. But
yeah,
I think Man United do feel a little bit of sense of being robbed on Friday night, because I think that Ahmad one was definitely a penalty. I think the one on Cunha is a definite penalty because Jimenez just has a hold of his shirt and goes down,
which he didn't need to do. He didn't need to do it. No. That was stupidity with that.
Yeah, absolutely. But good to see Ryan Christie on the score sheet. I'll say that, even though it was a bit controversial. But any Scot that's on the score sheet will do me very, very happy.
Absolutely, we'll do. Indeed, we'll talk about Noah Scott come shortly in the game at Villa Park. But let's go to the game at Craven Cottage where Fulham beat Burnley 3-1. Fulham have boosted their European hopes again. Doug, months ago, there was questions about could it even compete, especially they had a bit of a slow start, but it's now becoming good for them. They're now being very consistent now. One of the consistent teams the last 4, 5, 6 weeks or so now, and then they're not too far off. And does that really boost their chances to try to keep Michael Silva through a contract extension if that does happen?
Probably Harry Wilson as well.
Yeah,
because his future's up in the air. I think Alex Iwobi's future's up in the air as well. Fulham are a decent side. I've said that for a long time that they are a very, very decent side, and obviously Harry Wilson scoring again, which is really, really good. I think as well, the penalty decision that they got is a definite penalty and is a definite red card because he has pushed into him, Laurent. So I think that was definite red. But I think Burnley can feel a little bit hard done by.
Yeah,
obviously we know the decision I'm coming to is the Calvin Bassey handball. I think that is handball.
Yeah,
because I think it is heading into the net. I think I don't think you can really say if it's sort of a deliberate handball, but it is certainly handball, and I think it is going in the net. But I keep saying I think it's too little, too late for Burnley. I think you look at what's happened this week, and you look at what's sort of happened with the results this coming week. I think it's only a matter of time before they are nailed to sort of go down. Obviously, with Wolves, fair play to Wolves. They've managed to pick themselves up a little bit, but Burnley have been always that inconsistent under Scott Parker, and I don't think there's any real decision really is now to sack him. To be honest, I think it's sort of gone out of their hands ever so slightly now, and they're down for me. They're certainly down. But Fulham definitely boosted their European hopes. Whether or not they get European football is another matter. But
I think they do deserve it for a while after they've been a bit of they were a Euro club and now they're more established. I think they do kind of deserve it now because they're not like, I'm going to say it, I know I'm going to channel Reese. They're not like Brighton when there's this buy low or sell low. Fulham have always been like one of the teams that they will buy high and they will sell high or low, depends, whatever. But they're one of those teams that will be will invest in maximum invest, not like Brighton to sell high for triple figures. So,
well, the last time they were obviously in Europe was obviously the Roy Hodgson days, and they got to the Europa League finals. So, look, I think it's about time that they obviously got into Europe. I mean, they're not really that yo-yo club anymore. They've definitely became a established Premier League side. They're thereabouts, obviously mid-table, etc. But they're doing a very, very good job, and Marco Silva is definitely one that I'd keep an eye on, because there's a certain Mr. Marinakis who does like Marco Silva. So that could be very, very interesting to see by the end of the season, see what would happen there. But Fulham would deserve European football. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I agree as well too. Let's move on to Super John McGinn and him getting the first goal for Aston Villa. That they beat West Ham 2-0. Ollie Watkins getting the second goal. That's Villa's first win in 4 games, Doug, and it's kind of helped them a bit to boost their top 5 hopes, because they had a bit of it, they got through against Lille Lille, which was a good result early in the week, but to get that to win against a team like West Ham, who have been on a good, decent run, and they needed it to boost their top 5 hopes, because we were questioning because they need to be, especially with the financial implications as well. Huge
one, absolutely huge one. Yeah, Gracie McGinn back on the score sheet. He's been excellent. He's been excellent for Aston Villa, and Ollie Watkins getting on the score sheets as well. Huge win for Aston Villa, absolutely huge win for Aston Villa. But I know West Ham lost the game, and I know we'll obviously come on to Spurs in a wee minute as well. But I've been very impressed with West Ham under Nuno.
Yeah.
Ever since, didn't really start very, very well for him. He was probably on the verge of probably getting the boot. But actually, when you look at what's happened now, they're there or thereabouts. I think they're playing much better football than Tottenham, and I think as well that they'll probably get out of this, I would say. But yeah, absolutely huge, especially with Manchester United, Chelsea and Liverpool all dropping points this week. Aston Villa, I think, were the only team that won out of the sort of the top 4 teams. So
yeah,
absolutely huge for Unai Emery. They've obviously got who have they got next actually in the Europa League?
I think their next game, I'm just going to get up here at the moment. I know because I know there's still Real Betis and Porto still in that competition run up as well. They've got Bologna in the quarterfinals away, so first leg away at Bologna.
Oh, excellent! Super John McGinn versus Lewis Ferguson. Oh, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, look, they've just got to keep doing well in the Europa League, and probably out of the English clubs, I look obviously Nottingham Forest are in there as well.
Their way to Porto, which is going to be the big. I think it's Villa's to lose at the moment, but don't count out Porto, because Porto, have done well this season as well, and even Real Betis as well too. So don't count those teams up, because
it's a very, very interesting Europa League, I would have to say as well. But yeah, huge one for Aston Villa. They needed it. I think the international break has come at the right time for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's coming at the right time for them indeed. Let's get on to the promoted game. We'll have to talk about what happened yesterday, Sunday, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where both Spurs and Forest were playing against each other in the relegation battle. And like I said, with all the hype, from the Spurs fans trying to beat them up outside, before the game, it did happen. With Nottingham Forest winning 3-0, goals from Igor Jesus, Morgan Gibbs-White, and Teo Aori as well. Doug, does Igor choose to survive at Spurs? We know he didn't take his press conference yesterday, his post-match interview, because it just found confirmed from the Croatian media that his father did sadly pass away. So, so unfortunately, it was sad to see that happening. Send his thoughts, his well wishes to his family. But what do Spurs do now for the next 3 weeks, since before the next game against Sunderland? Do they now take the bullet and sack him?
How can you play well at Anfield last Sunday? How can you play well against Atletico Madrid? All right, you're out of the Europa League, and then put a performance in like that? They're shocking. They're absolutely shocking. I don't know where their next point's coming from.
No.
I said this to you. I think it was last week that obviously they obviously got a point at Anfield, and they deserved it because it was always coming. And then beat Atletico Madrid, where they had a very, very good game. But then yesterday, just awful. Absolutely awful.
Yeah.
And again, set pieces, isn't it? I mean, Igor Jesus had obviously won before he scored a very, very good header. And Morgan Gibbs-White, a player who Tottenham were completely after last season. He was basically he basically scored. And then I've got to say the cross of the game for me, Neco Williams for the Taiwo Wonyi goal. What a ball that was!
Oh yeah,
on a plate. And fair play to Wonyi because obviously Forest haven't had Chris Wood in there as for this season as well. So
he's supposed to be back in a couple of weeks' time, and I think that's what the target. He should be back before the end for the rest of the running. So,
well, that would obviously be good for Forest, and obviously be good for New Zealand at the World Cup as well. I honestly don't know where Spurs go now.
No.
Do they bite the bullet and basically say like Tudor hasn't worked? It clearly hasn't worked. If I'm Tottenham right now, I'd be getting on the phone to Harry Redknapp,
or Tim Sherwood,
Harry Houdini, Tim Sherwood, and basically saying, "Get your ass in here and basically save us," because at this moment in time, they are going slowly towards the championship. Because I'm telling you now,
their home form is going to cost them. Their home
100%. I was just about to say that their home form is going to send them down.
Yeah, that home form is going to cost them because they're still not won in 2026 in the Premier League, and I just should they stuck with Thomas Frank? I don't know. Probably no. I never thought Spurs would be in this the talk about Spurs being relegation, trying to battle for relegation. I did not expect that. I don't know. And it for the laughter now, they're now a point ahead of West Ham. So what's that say now? And Tottenham's run his fixtures. They got Sunderland after the international break. Then home to Brighton, way to Wolves, home to way to Aston Villa, home to Leeds, home to Chelsea, and then the last game's away to Chelsea. The last game's home is to Everton.
Do you want to put those fixtures up on the screen and me and you will predict them?
Yeah, absolutely. I will get them up for you right now, actually, because I think that is what we do need to discuss. So, yeah, let's get these fixtures up right now because I think it's something. It's gonna be like, it's just gonna be where's that point is gonna come, where that win is gonna come from Tottenham. I do not know. So let's get here. So first week about Sunderland in 3 weeks' time.
Loss.
Yeah, I'm going to say the loss as well. I'm going to say a loss to Brighton as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say a loss to Brighton as well.
They have to bloody win at Wolves.
Loss.
If they don't win at Wolves,
I think if they don't win at Wolves, they're down.
Yeah, I agree as well. And they will lose to Villa. They will definitely lose to Villa.
They will lose to Villa. I cannot see them winning at Villa Park.
Yeah. Then the third to last game against us, that's something that Spurs will need to think. If Leeds are still in this situation by the time we get to we play them, it's like we need to win that game. That's what the Liverpool will be saying.
I think you beat them.
I have an inkling we'll probably beat them or get a good point. It's one way or the other. I can see them losing to Chelsea. Or get something at Chelsea. It's one or the other now.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm going to say that I think their home form sends them down. Last game of the season against Everton. That
Everton's going to be Everton, and not Everton are going to be biased for if they're going to be in that European talk.
Everton have got a really good away record this season. So
yeah, they do.
I'll say defeat against Villa, defeat against Leeds. I'll say a draw against Chelsea, and I think they lose to Everton on the final day.
If they bloody lose, my God, it's going to be interesting championship season next season. Where
so I've predicted 1 point out of those last 7. Oh my days!
Oh my God, it's crazy. We talk about Spurs going down, where they might be going to bloody Stockport and Lincoln next season if they get promoted. My God, I never thought I would say that in my lifetime, but
yeah, just to let you know, guys, please do give us your thoughts about obviously the situation at Tottenham. Let us know if you think they are going down, because for me, I think they're gone.
Yeah, I agree as well too. Let's finish off with the last game. Actually, I wanted to say this was a bit of a drab at Ellen Road. It was a 0-0 draw between Leeds against Brentford. Doug, it was a bit of a damp squid. Leeds have not scored in 4 games despite the draw. But was that a valuable point despite the outcome after this weekend?
I think it's a valuable point because of the way Brentford have been playing recently. I think Brentford have really surprised a lot of people this season. Yeah, I think it was a bit of a damn squib, to be honest. That 8 o'clock kickoff, I don't know about you, but you just wait all day. You wait all day for this game to come around, and in the end,
it was a bit of a drag on the Saturday to wait for that. It was for me to wait for that. It was stupidity with that one. I'm not gonna lie. So
well, we've obviously the games are obviously played. I think there were only 2 Premier League one Premier League game
at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, and then 2 at
5:30 and half 8 o'clock. Yeah,
8 o'clock. So, yeah, there's not really much to really discuss. It was a real
not really.
But
can I ask you this? Can I ask you something about this? Because there was talk about with Cameron Kelly. He went down. We don't know if it was an injury or not, but there was the way that happened. It sounds like there was so much time wasting in that as well, and I think Brentford knew what he was doing. If Keith Archer knew if Kelly was injured, why did he not take him off? I know they didn't have a full strength bench on Saturday, but yeah.
You feel sorry for the referee in that instance, because if he basically gets up and actually then you don't want to really take the risk of saying, "Oh, basically get up," and actually if he is seriously injured, then obviously he'll have to go straight back down. I'm one of Kelleher's biggest fans, obviously from his time at Liverpool. But I don't like goalkeepers going down. David Raya is the biggest culprit of that. Absolutely the biggest culprit of that. He goes down way too easily. So yeah, it's a
Oops, Doug. Hopefully we'll still get you there. Hopefully you're not being still on the stream. Hopefully we'll get you a bit to what we finish off as well. But yeah, it was a bit of a damp squid with that one, and unfortunately, there was nothing much for Leeds that they could do. They could have done better with that, but it's a hard one for me to say with that one. So hopefully we'll try to get Doug back on as soon as the second. Just try to get him back on and see if we can. If not, he will try to rejoin us as soon as possible as well. But yeah, my perspective, I think it was a disappointing nil draw. I think Leeds, a bit of a worthless display because they couldn't get, there's not been any good chances in the final third as well. So, which has been a bit frustrating as well. So, yeah, and we'll still hopefully get Doug back on as well. Hopefully, if I just kick him out and bring him back on, he should actually get him back on soon. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get him back on as well. So, but no, it was quite a bit of a tough, bit of a disappointed draw for Leeds, but at least it's another good point as well, close to the safety. We should have Doug back on. There you're back on, Doug's, as you were saying.
Yeah, as I was saying, I don't like when goalkeepers go down very, very easily. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely as well. Yeah. Well, Doug, we've finished off getting all through all the fixtures as well. So let's bring up the table in as well. You can have it. You can, because I don't much of the talking. I'll let you can do the table with the Premier League standings as well. So take it away.
Of course. If we go to the Premier League, well, obviously Arsenal, Manchester City were playing in the Carabao Cup, so they were obviously playing. But Manchester United stay third, despite drop points against Bournemouth. Aston Villa move up to 54 points, and now a point behind Manchester United. Liverpool still in fifth place, despite that 2-1 defeat to Brighton. Chelsea currently in sixth. And Everton seem to be the biggest claimers at the moment. They move up to 8th. Brentford are still in 7th. Fulham up to 44. Brighton up to 43. Sunderland up to 43. And now Newcastle falling a place into 12th place. Bournemouth with that 2-2 draw against Manchester United are now 13th. Palace didn't play. Leeds have gone a point clearer of the relegation zone. Nottingham Forest, big climbers. They go above Tottenham, who are in big, big trouble. And the bottom three, West Ham on 29, Burnley on 20, and Wolves on 17.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for everyone for watching in, and please as well. You've noticed on the Total Leaving Home Football Pod channel that we have gone through some graphic changes. You might see as well on the 20 podcast where we should have a new intro and outro probably after the Easter break as well. So keep an eye on that as well as do some refreshing graphics as well. But please subscribe to both of our channels as well, which we really appreciate that as well too. And also that helps both of our contents to try to get more people as well, especially because we're now coming to Easter break. There's no more shows from my end to do over the next couple weeks, but I might upload a video that myself and Rose did. We did our one-to-one chat like he did to me a few years ago. He wanted to chat about how with Andy Rogers likes growing up, his life, what he does now. So that keep an eye on that should come up this week. But yeah, no more football stuff for the next fortnight, and we'll be back on with the Saturday show in 2 weeks' time at half 11, and then with the EFL Championship review as well the following day on Sunday evening as well too.
Yep, absolutely. Again, nothing from me, obviously. Because there's always international break. But yeah, keep an eye out. There may be some World Cup content coming very, very soon. So yeah, keep an eye on that.
Absolutely as well. Doug, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very always. And also thank you to Michael as well too for joining us as well to talk about Sunderland as well, a couple of games with us as well. So yeah, like I said, we'll see you guys with the 20 process in the near future. Hopefully we'll be back after the international break as well. But all you have a good Easter weekend and take it for now. It's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Doug.
Bye. Bye-bye.